Hi, I'm Alex from FireFarm.
And I'm AJ Myst from AJ Myst. Collectively, we're known as FireFarm and AJ Myst.
Right then, mate, where should we start?
I'd say probably the best way to learn it ourselves, maybe.
Well, how are we going to do that?
The wizard. We need to summon him, mate.
We better start summoning him. Okay. Ready? Ready?
Yeah, ready? Cool.
No reception, mate, because it's pointless. Like,
shall I just give him a ring?
Give him a call, man, yeah. She's
Alright, no worries. It's ringing. Hello, Wizard! Wizard, we need your help. Can you come and talk to us about sidechaining in the studio, please? Yeah, you know where we are. Excellent. I'll see you soon. Cheers. Bye. He's on his way.
Awesome. Right.
Sidechain their synth and their kit has a nice wobby sound. It leaves the ground shaking, but when people say sidechain, they're often mistaken. If you really want to know how to get your sound bigger, call it by its proper name. It's a key trigger. None shall pass.
So, what do you think he means by that then?
Well, I think what he was trying to say was that what people commonly would call sidechaining isn't actually called sidechaining. What they actually mean is key triggering, which is triggering the gain reduction on a compressor using an outside source from another place.
Gotcha.
You know, for example, classic example, ducking your bass with a ghosted signal from your kick drum, for instance.
Makes sense.
So the true meaning of sidechaining is to use the internal sidechain within a compressor, EQ that to make the compressor prioritise gain reduction in certain frequencies, i.e. the ones you're boosting or reducing. A common mistake, everybody makes it.
So before we go into the different uses of key triggering, we're going to show you how we initially set up key triggering.
First task to be done, set your key to bus 1, and now you're en route, so press the bus mute. You really don't want that bus to be audible. Turn off the output, well done, that's applaudable. Search your compressor, not your de-esser, that's the other way of doing things. Not for this session. First connect your bus, then set your compression. Now we're nearly there, there's just one more lesson. If you want to get your key trigger to function, use a threshold to change the gain reduction. You fool of a took!
So, just to give you an example of sidechaining used as an effect, we're going to play you a small excerpt from our track Carpe Diem Part 2. Okay, so we got our kick drum. Standard kick drum. Next we need our bass. I've just taken a saw wave from Trillion with the note on the beat and just going through the bar like so. Pretty simple. We're not going to go into the music, we just want to show the key triggering. So, next thing we need to do is send a kick drum to a bus, like so. Bus 1 will do, and we need to silence that bus because we don't want to hear it. So we're going to change that to no output. We can still hear the kick drum because it's still going out of the output, but we now have a ghosted signal for our key triggering. So next we need to set up our compressor on the bass. So we go onto the bass, insert compressor. So now we'll send the signal over to bus 1. I always find sending it at 0 dB, i.e. the volume it is on the channel strip, because you know where you are then. Now, the default on this is far from what we need, so we're going to go around all the settings and sort them out for what we need. First thing we do is change from RMS to peak. We want the key triggering to respond to the peak signal from the sidechain source, so rather than the average signal. It's more responsive and it will fit round the relevant audio in the sidechain better. The next thing we'll do is bring the attack down to pretty low, but not right at the bottom, 0.5, that'll do for now. And we'll bring our release all the way down, just 5 milliseconds, just so that the volume envelope of the gain reduction sort of matches the shape of the source that's triggering it, i.e. the kick drum. Next we're going to put the ratio right up, so we've got a maximum response, which means all the control goes to the threshold as to how much we want to dip the signal. Next we're going to reset the knee to 0. We want the gain reduction to be proportionate to the signal coming in through the sidechain, rather than responding before the signal exceeds the threshold. We might change this later to give a sort of more spongy sort of release property to the pumping, but for now we're going to keep it down there because it's a good place to start. Next we're going to reset the gain to 0 because I don't know why they defaulted to 4, it's silly. Now we need to connect the sidechain source here to where we sent our kick drum, which is bus 1 down here. Okay, so if we press play now we should see some gain reduction. See the gain reduction there, it's not enough, can hardly hear any effect, so we're going to change the threshold to suit our needs. So we're getting the basic effect. I mean, from there we tweak it. We want to time the release to match the tempo or groove of the tune. So if we just move it and play it, see what happens. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at more subtle use of key triggering, just to help the mix really, just to help the drums punch through, juggle the sounds around each other to save cutting holes in it with EQs and over-processing things. We're going to just dip volumes on some things to make room for others. So again, we'll start off with the sub, as it makes a lot of difference with the mix. So we're going to bring up the compressor on the sub. Again, a similar deal as with the effects use of key triggering. Similar sort of values with our peak, ratio right up, knee right down, similar attack and release settings. So we are ducking the sub with our kick drum, as we did in the last example, but just with a quicker release. Also in this track, I happen to be using key triggering on the loops that go around the main beats. These are key triggered with the kick and the snare in this case, so that the main hits in the backbeat just power through all the other sort of percussion elements, and the sort of shuffle provided by the loops kind of pumps out in between those big beats and creates a more groove and juggles the sounds around each other. So there's our aim and break. We've got a chronic break here as well. So when I press play, you should be able to see the two loops and the sub being ducked by just a kick on the sub and a kick on the snare on the loops.
Nice rack, mate.
Pay attention! I just thought I'd slide in with techniques to tidy your compression timing. Render your sidechain source, then what's next? Move it 40 times to get a look-ahead effect on your key trigger. To tidy up the mix and preserve the transients as you do it like this. Do not take me for some conjurer of cheap tricks. I am not trying to rob you.
Okay, so now we're going to have a look at the final stages of the sidechaining process, normally done at the end of the tune. This trick helps us create a look-ahead effect for the sidechaining, so that the compressors have a little bit of heads up on when they're dipped, so that the gain reduction happens just before the transients of the drums hit. This is really useful because it creates a space for the transients of the drums, which are really important and quite fragile if they overlap certain other things. So what we're doing is triggering the compression slightly early, so the attack time it has, that phase is over by the time the transient comes in, so the transient is free and on its own, and then the release stage starts over the decay of the drum. Basically it just tidies the mix up and preserves the transients in the drums, the delicate parts that are easy to mess up, and just gives the mix an overall sparkle that you wouldn't have had if you hadn't done this. So as before, we've got the two loops, which are key triggered by the kick and the snare, and the sub, which is key triggered by just a kick. When doing sidechaining, you'll find that although you want a nice fast attack, having it on 0 milliseconds, you'll get a lot of clicking and artifacts where the volume's changing too quickly. It sounds horrible. So while I'm writing the tune, I'll put it up to 0.5, which reduces the problem, doesn't eliminate it, but reduces it. So anyway, we get to the end of our track, we've programmed all our drums, all the kicks and the snares are exactly where we want them, we're sure about it, we've finished it. This is the final touches just to tidy up the transients in the track. So what we'll do is we'll just hide those for the moment. We need to take the kick drum send and the kick and snare send, these two buses that we're taking our key triggering sources from, and we need to bounce them out and put them on audio channels, which I've done up here. So if you look, we've got the kick drum here on a silenced audio channel, you see no output as the bus was, and we've got the kick and the snare on a silenced audio channel. So now we have these as audio. This allows us to push them forward in time. Now how much do we push them forward in time? With our present settings, we've got an attack phase on the compressor of 0.5 milliseconds. So with that in mind, we would select both these, and up here we've got delay. Now as a default, it's set to whatever this means. It's just a value that's proportionate to itself. What we need to do is right click on here, click the delay in milliseconds box. Now we're looking at how many milliseconds the delay is. Now we're going to give it a negative delay because we want to push it forwards in time. Now it still does it in ticks, so we need to find the closest one. I'd probably err on the side of caution and go for 0.8. It just means that the attack phase has definitely happened by the time the transient happens on the drum. But this isn't the best way to do it either, because what you really want to do is we bring the compressors back up. We've still got clicking artifacts because it's the attack's so quick, so we're going to put it up a little bit more, and ideally we're going to match our release settings. It happens on this compressor that our minimum release setting is 5 milliseconds, so we're going to match the attack to 5 milliseconds on these compressors. Okay, that's high done. Next we're going to put a negative delay on the key triggering sources. We left it at 0.8, but now we're going to put it up to as close to 5 as we can get, which looks like it's going to be 5.1. It's ideal, really. So the key triggering sources are 5 milliseconds ahead of the actual drums. The attack phase of the compressor is 5 milliseconds and the release stage is 5 milliseconds. So that should tweak all the timing of the compression to free up the transients and juggle all the sounds around each other more accurately. You probably won't be able to hear the difference like through a YouTube video or through bad speakers, or well, if you're watching this then it's on YouTube and you're listening to a low-fi AAC file which doesn't have the integrity of what we'd hear in the studio using 24-bit audio, but just try it because I don't think you'll look back.